We sign our names on various contracts and agreements to get loans, leases, and to give specific permissions. It's just our signature, our John Hancock. However, for celebrities and the notably famous, their signatures can cost small fortunes to avid and devoted fans. But on December 8th, 1980, at around 4 p.m., this autograph would cost the signee their own life. John Winston Lennon, born October 9th, 1940, is most notoriously known for being a member of the immensely popular English band, the Beatles. John would have profound success as a musician, winning a Grammy for an Album of the Year in 1981, inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1997, and the Rock Hall of Fame twice, as a Beatles member in 1988 and also as a solo artist in 1994. With such massive success in the music industry, he amassed an incredible fan base, dubbed Beatlemania in the UK. As the hearts of many fans were embracing and promoting Beatlemania across the UK, Lennon's heart was already taken, and in secrecy, he wed his first wife Cynthia Powell on August 23, 1962. After learning that she was pregnant with his son Julian, born April 8, 1963. The couple would eventually go on to a divorce in November 1968, resulting in the courts awarding Cynthia full custody of Julian. At the Indica Gallery in London on November 9, 1966, Lennon met a woman that would later become his second wife, Yoko Ono. In November 1968, Ono miscarried Lennon's second son, and the two were finally wed in Gilbrayter on March 20, 1969. Ono and Lennon were devoted, anti-war activists, being active in public protest against the Vietnam War, even spreading their own honeymoon campaigning for peace, with a bed-in that lasted a week. In 1973, Ono and Lennon moved to the Dakota Building, at 1 West 72nd Street, after wanting a residency with more security. Ironically, it's the place where Lennon is later murdered. Mark David Chapman, born May 10, 1955. A former Hawaiian security guard that was a self-admitted Beatles fan for years and years. He began obsessing over the artwork and music of Todd Rundgren, of Utopia, and wanting his life to mirror the protagonist character in the novel, The Catcher in the Rye. This notorious and infamously tragic photo, taken by Carl Gorsch on December 8, 1980 between 4 to 5 p.m., began as Lennon and Ono were leaving the Dakota Building, en route to a recording session, when the random use of a camera captures the prelude to Lennon's horrific tragedy, still discussed worldwide today. As the shutter clicks and the bulb flashes in the unified split-second action, resulting in the image we know today as the iconic image of John Lennon, autographing a copy of his double fantasy album per the request of a fan pictured with Lennon, Mark Chapman, whom a few hours later would come to murder Lennon. Upon Lennon and Ono's return from their recording session around 10:50 p.m., after exiting their limo, Lennon made his way through the archway of the building. Unbeknownst to him, Mark Chapman was silently waiting in the shadows, ready to kill. As Lennon approached, Mark called out to Lennon, most likely as a means to distract him, causing to momentarily stop, thus giving Mark a non-moving target. At which point, Mark Chapman drew his Charter Arms .38 special revolver and pointed it at Lennon, standing an estimated 10 feet away, and proceeded to fire 5 shots. Lennon was struck with 4 hollow point bullets. Chapman admits to securing these specific bullets to make sure Lennon died without suffering. 2 shots in his back, and 2 shots in his shoulder. Lennon was immediately rushed to the hospital via a police cruiser, but sadly was announced dead on arrival at 11:15 p.m., roughly 7 to 8 hours after signing the autograph for his murderer. Mark Chapman was sentenced to 20 years to life after pleading guilty to second-degree murder. He will be eligible for parole again in August 2022, at the age of 69. Popular opinion is predicting that he will be denied again, making his 12th denial for parole. The films The Killing of John Lennon in 2006 and Chapter 27 in 2007 are based on Chapman's life story and events. They've been dramatized and exaggerated for the big screen. What do you think, though? Should Mark Chapman finally be granted parole this time? or should he remain behind bars until he dies? There's estimated to be more than 17,000 open missing people cases, with the majority of them being numerous years old and cold cases, which forces the family and friends of the missing to go years and years, even decades, with no closure, no arrests, no leads, and no answers as to what happened to their loved one. Tera Lee Calico is no exception when it comes to giving her family answers, and more importantly, justice for her disappearance. However, her case does have some questionable and what the fuck details, circumstances, and evidence, so much so that the popular crime TV show, A Current Affair, Unsolved Mysteries, and America's Most Wanted featured her case, with in-depth investigations and profiles on the Oprah Winfrey Show, in 48 hours to no avail, with no viable leads or arrest ever resulting from any of these platforms. Tera Lee Calico was born February 28, 1969 in Belen, New Mexico. It is alleged that Tera disappeared from somewhere near her home in Belen on September 20th, 1988. She was 19 years old at the time. The popular theory for her disappearance is that she was kidnapped or abducted. In July 1989, in Port St. Joe, Florida, found in the parking lot of a convenience store was a widely publicized Polaroid of a young woman and an even younger boy bound with hands behind their backs and what appears to be duct tape across their mouth. A paperback book sits to the right of the female on the bed they both are pictured in. Authorities displayed the Polaroid photo to the public, broadcasting over local TV stations, asking anyone with any information to the identities and current location of the male and female individuals to notify law enforcement immediately. Friends of Tera saw an alarming resemblance to their missing friend, with the woman in the Polaroid. Tera's mother was informed of the girl in the picture resembling her daughter, which prompted Tera's mother to demand an urgent meeting with authorities immediately, so that a closer analysis could be performed on the photo itself by quality professionals in order to determine if the identity of the pictured female was in fact her daughter, and if so, where is she at now? Understandably, Tera's mother believed that it was Tera in the photo. Scotland Yard agreed that it was her in the photo. However, the analysis performed by the Los Alamos National Laboratory disagreed and stated that the female in the Polaroid photo is not in fact Tera Calico. The third analysis performed was by the FBI, and the results were inconclusive. Tera was last seen on the day of her disappearance riding her bike, just as she did every morning along New Mexico State Road 47, along with her mother usually accompanying her. Tera's mother had decided that she would no longer join Tera on her daily morning bike rides, as she felt that she was being stalked by a motorist. Yet this was never investigated any further for ties to Tera or her disappearance itself. When Tera had returned from her morning bike ride, around noon her mother went out to get her, just as Tera had instructed her to do, because she had plans to play tennis at 12:30 with her boyfriend. But it was to no avail. Her mother could not find Tera. Once a police investigation had begun, pieces of Tera's Walkman and cassette tape were eventually located along the road she traveled on the morning bike rides, though her bike has not been found. She was seen by several individuals that morning riding that bike. There were no witnesses to any abduction that may have taken place. However, there were several witnesses that reported a light-colored pickup truck with a shell had been following closely behind her. But nothing more came from this information. The lady that found the Polaroid photo in that convenience store parking lot told authorities that the vehicle that had been parked in that space, where the Polaroid had been found, was a windowless white Toyota cargo van. The man driving that van appeared to be in his mid-30s with a mustache. Police then set up a roadblock, but it was a futile attempt to identify the van driver, and was never identified. Polaroid employees were able to inform authorities that the photo of the unknown female and male had to have been taken after May 1989, since the specific film used in that photo was not available until after then. To this day, the case remains open and cold. On October 1st, 2019, the FBI officially stated there is an award of $20,000 to anyone who provides precisely accurate information that would directly lead to the location of Tera Calico, as well as any accurate information that would lead to the arrest and conviction of any individual responsible for Tera's disappearance. In September 2021, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office, together with New Mexico State Police, issued a statement involving a new lead in the case. And the focus was now on a sealed warrant for an unknown Valencia County resident. It's been issued, but no arrests have been made. What do you think? Do you think there will ever be justice for Tera? Closure for her family? And was it in fact Tera in that Polaroid? The demented and criminally insane can be found all over the world, from all walks of life, each with their own abhorrent atrocities of murder, kidnap, and cannibalism. On April 17, 1933, in Hindenburg, under Silesia, Joachim Kroll was born, being the sixth of 9 children. Kroll and his family had the misfortune of experiencing the tragedies of World War II, with his father being a POW. Once World War II ended, Kroll and his family moved to North Rhine-Westphalia, where Kroll lived a somewhat mediocre life until his mother's death in 1955. Prior to his mother's death, there are no records nor any evidence of Kroll being involved in any criminal activity. But the death of his mother triggered an underlying darkness that consumed him, like releasing an angry, hungry animal from a cage. Kroll had become hungry, a bloodthirsty beast, and he was eager to feast. He began his murder spree in 1955, but murder alone did not appease him, for his desire was more than just murder, and it was insatiable. His victims were all women, from ages 4 to 61. He raped most of them prior to murdering them. Strangulation was his self-admitted preferred method of killing. Once deceased, Kroll was keen to acts of necrophilia on some of his victims. But his favorite after-killing ritual was to consume pieces of his victims. He would cut portions off from the lifeless bodies, as if it was a prime cut from a cow. He would then experiment with various recipes for cooking his victims, from frying to sautéing. When he was arrested, he was in the midst of simmering parts of his last victim, a 4-year-old little girl. Kroll was very picky about the kill locations, and only killed in the same area a few times, and would do it years apart, only evading capture due to the other known murderers killing in the same places as well. Kroll was finally captured and arrested July 3rd, 1976, for kidnapping and killing of a 4-year-old little girl. Once in custody, he confessed to another 13 other murders, and 1 attempted murder from 1955 through 1976. Only because he believed that while in custody, he would then receive an operation that would eradicate his urges to kill and consume women, only to then be released once he was devoid of his homicidal desires. To his dismay, though, he was charged in April 1982 with 8 murders and 1 attempted murder. A verdict of guilty on all counts was reached after 151 days of trial. He then died in prison from a heart attack in 1991. This photograph is of Kroll demonstrating his tactics for strangling his victims to the police. Most children, usually little girls, will grow up having played with some form of a doll, pretending to be the doll's mommy, playing house with a dollhouse, or enchanted by the princess fantasy of just being like their favorite princess doll when they grow up. But Anatoly Moskvin made his own dolls, from dead bodies of young girls. Born in September 1966, Moskvin would later become a linguist, philologist, and historian in Russia. He graduated from Moscow University and became a well-known name throughout various academic circles, often being referred to as both a genius and eccentric. Aside from his academic interests, Moskvin was also deeply interested and borderline obsessed with cemeteries, death, burial rituals, and the occult. He credits a childhood experience of having not only to witness the funeral of an 11-year-old girl, but was also forced to kiss the face of the deceased child. Living a very secluded and antisocial lifestyle, Moskvin never dated or married. He didn't drink or smoke, and resided with his parents. However, in 2016, it was alleged that he was to be marrying a 25-year-old local resident who attended his trial. In 2011, Moskvin was arrested for possessing the mummified remains of 26 girls and women from ages ranging from 3 to 29. After suspicion continued to grow over the increasing number of stolen corpses from numerous local cemeteries, sources alleging he desecrated over 150 graves. After he would steal a deceased and buried body from a local cemetery, he would mummify the remains prior to posing them in various positions to put on display throughout his apartment. His parents had just assumed that they were just large dolls. After a psychiatric review, it was determined that Moskvin was unfit to stand trial due to being diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, with a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation in 2012, which resulted in his admittance to a psychiatric facility, where he currently resides to this day. This photograph is one of the 26 mummified remains that was found inside his apartment. When talking about the prominent, influential, and controversial families of American history, there is one family name that is most known for their scandals, secrets, and numerous conspiracy theories than the enormous financial wealth they have acquired over centuries of generation, being the Rockefellers. John Davidson Rockefeller Sr. was born in 1839 and became a successful businessman and philanthropist, even viewed as the wealthiest American of all time in modern history. Thus began the Rockefeller legacy. The more commonly known of the politically prized and banking bougie Rockefeller family included former New York Governor and U.S. Vice President Nelson Rockefeller, Standard Oil co-founder John D. Rockefeller Sr., an investment banker who served as both chairman and chief executive of Chase Manhattan Corporation, the late David Rockefeller. It's no secret that the Rockefeller family has had its fair share of scandal cover-ups and tragedy that was only amplified and exaggerated by the media, which put the private affairs of one of the top wealthiest, powerful, and influential families on display and spotlighted for public knowledge. Despite the immense amount of private, personal, and sensitive information that the family didn't cover up or hide well, some of it was ultimately uncovered and publicized, with the added drama and biased media outlets were openly proud to be known for. But there is one mysterious tragedy that the truth of what really happened is at best a speculative conspiracy theory. Many people believe that Michael Clark Rockefeller was murdered, and his body was eaten by an alleged cannibalistic Asmat tribe of the Netherlands, inside New Guinea, that Michael had visited to study. No remains of Michael Rockefeller have ever been discovered. Let's start at the beginning of what most believe was Michael's tragic ending. Michael C. Rockefeller was born May 18, 1938, as the fifth child of Nelson Rockefeller, making Michael's grandfather and great-grandfather John D. Rockefeller Jr. and Sr. He also had a twin sister named Mary. Michael graduated from the Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire. He later graduated from Harvard University, holding an AB degree in history and economics. He served in the U.S. Army as a private rank for 6 months in 1960, succeeded by joining an expedition for Harvard's Peabody Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology, with the primary purpose to study the Dani tribe of Western Netherlands, New Guinea, filming the ethnographic documentary movie Dead Birds, which was produced by Robert Gardner, and Michael being the sound recordist. While on a brief hiatus from the expedition, Michael and a friend studied the Asmat tribe of southern Netherlands. of which he'd return to study and collect tribal art once the expedition ended. Michael had fully immersed himself into the Asmat tribe, playing an active role in the tribe's culture and art as he recorded the data. November 17, 1961 was the tragic start to decades of heartbreak, unanswered questions, regret, guilt, and ever devoid of even receiving any bit of closure. Michael and Renee Wassing, a Dutch anthropologist, sat in a 40-foot dugout canoe around 3 miles from shore when their double pontoon boat was overturned. The 2 local guides accompanying the pair swam for help. On November 19th, still awaiting the arrival of help, Michael believed he could make the swim to shore. Aware they had been drifting further from shore for 2 days now, and were an estimated 14 miles from it. This was the last moment Michael C. Rockefeller was confirmed alive. Wassing was rescued the following day. After an intensive, thorough, and lengthy search effort, Michael was legally declared dead in 1964. The original narrative was that Michael either drowned in his attempt to swim to shore or became prey to crocodiles or other predatory marine life. Milt Michelin, an investigative journalist, made the trip to the island in 1969 in an attempt to find answers more about Michael's disappearance. Most speculate that Michael may have been killed and eaten by the Asmat tribesmen from the Asmat village of Ostjanip. There's also a popular conspiracy theory that Michael's mother hired a private detective to find out what actually happened to her son. Allegedly, the private detective traded a boat motor for 3 skulls that were said to be the skulls of the only white men they have ever killed. The detective then gave the skulls to Michael's mother. It is unknown that any of the 3 skulls actually matched Michael's skull, if this event even actually happened at all. This is one of the photos taken of Michael with the Asmat tribe, and one of the last photos ever taken before his disappearance. Hey everyone, thanks for listening if you stuck around at this point. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell to be notified when other future episodes come out. You can stalk me on Twitter, you can stalk me on Facebook, and you can also stalk me on Instagram. If you have a true scary story of your own, feel free to send it to my email or post it to my subreddit. All of these links are below. Thanks for joining me again, guys. I hope you like this. I know it's different, very different. It's not the normal cookie cutter, true scary story, from Reddit type of thing. So you'll have to let me know if this is something you guys like and I should do more of, or if you just want me to stick to what I do. I would like to not completely switch over to stuff like this, but every once in a while, once or twice a month, maybe interject this with some videos and stuff like that too. I really, there's a lot of channels out there that do this type of shit. That's really fucking cool, and I really like those channels, and I don't want to, I know I've said it before, where I don't want to pigeonhole myself to only being and doing this. So I hope you guys like this. I don't think it's going to be something that happens often, but it is something I really want to do, and no offense, but it's my channel. So I want to do content that you guys really enjoy, but I also want to do stuff that I like too, and hope that, fingers crossed, there's people that join me on that and are along for the ride regardless. So we'll see. Let me know. I appreciate the feedback regardless, so just let me know in the comments or wherever. Couple days off, so I'm probably going to record just another creepy encounters, let's not meet, this stereotypical stuff that I normally do. Have another one of those out here in the next day or two, probably Tuesday at the latest. So hope you guys enjoyed this one again. Thanks for all the support, kind words, everything you do. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.